Welcome in, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. While we get the presentation set up, I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to your facilitator, Crystal.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Happy Thursday. I'm so glad you took the time to join us today. If you guys would like to put in the chat box where you're joining us from, is it East LA, West LA, Culver City, Santa Monica? Let us know where you're joining us from and what role you might play. Teacher, educator, parent, student. Hi, Miss Rudy. Hi, Daisy. Happy Thursday. Hi, Veronica. Thank you all for joining us today. I appreciate your time. I hope you guys are enjoying your segments today at the Teach LA conference. Hello, Maria. Nice to meet you. Hi, East LA College. Thank you for joining us today. I see Valerie Reyes, too, from East LA College. East LA College is showing up strong. I love it. I love it. Happy Thursday to you all. Well, I'm Crystal. I'll be your facilitator today for the careers in early care and education. I won't be long, but I promise to be strong. So I'm an ECE FCC expert and philanthropist, an independent contractor with my own trademark, Crystal Clear Academics. So today we'll be presenting you our crystal clear concepts from a crystal clear academics perspective. If you guys would like to look into our website and our other opportunities and webinars and different opportunities we share, here's my website listed. It's www.clearlearnings.org. I would love for you guys to share your feedback later or email us or let us know how you feel about our website. So let's go ahead and get started. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, everyone, again for joining us. Next slide. So our content today that we'll be covering in this hour will be 1, our early childhood educators, 2, our family child care educators, 3, our early childhood education ECE apprentices, and 4, our administrators, directors of center-based programs. We all work together in a very sensitive place that is so meaningful for the foundations for all children. So let's go ahead and get started and tap right in. Next slide, please. Would like to reach out to us later and have more questions once the slide presentations are over and you want to be able to navigate to actually start any careers or more insight on how to take classes, you can email me or contact me. I'll be sure. Can you mute, please?
Gets released. Okay, it's being kind of
Sarah, can you mute your mic, please? Thank you. So if you guys would like to contact me later, here's my cell phone, direct contact, and emails for our center staff, and as well as me, Crystal Clear Academics, directly. Or if you want to take a picture of it, please reach out to us and stay connected. I take a moment for you guys to go ahead and take a picture of that. And next slide, please. So one of our youth leaders made a statement. Her name is Imani. She says, early childhood educators plant seeds of knowledge that will grow together. With that statement in mind, can you plant what one seed do you plant? I'm sorry, in children's daily lives? Is that kindness? Is that care? And would you like to share either in the chat box or you could come out mute? Next slide, please. And I'll just take a moment if anyone want to share one seed that they share of knowledge with kids every day. I know mine is kindness and love. So that's 2 seeds. And our first segment that we will start to address will be early childhood educators. So before we move forward, would anyone like to share a seed? Having patience. Thank you, Asani. She said having patience, great seed to have in early childhood education. I applaud that. Respect for others. Thank you, Mia Rodriguez. I appreciate you sharing that in the chat box. Self-love. Yes. I appreciate you sharing that in the chat box. Sharing with your friends and empathy. That's absolutely correct. A seed of anti-bias and fostering empathy and compassion. Yes. Okay, so our introduction, you keep the seeds going on in, please. They're growing as we're even sharing. So thank you for sharing your seeds today. So today in this presentation, we're going to go over the 4 categories and careers that we just mentioned in early care and education. Next slide, please. And with your seeds, would like to even talk about child care, Head Start, pre-K based programs. So with that in mind about the seeds that you shared today, keep that in mind as we're discussing the careers of early child and education, early care and education. Sorry about that. So 3 things that are important in early childhood is 1, children's growth and development. 2, planning activities for children in a creative learning environment. And 3, communicating with an increasingly diverse population of children, their families, community professionals, and effectively managing groups, right? And the most important thing is the audience, right? You don't want to miss your presentation in regards to how you're presenting that first impression to the families coming in your classrooms, coming in your homes, coming onto your campuses, right? You always want to be welcoming and actually caring. You know, how can I help you? Is there anything you're looking for? So that first impression means everything, right? Next slide, please. So one important thing in early childhood education, oftentimes that you see, common things that you will see in your learning environments is like alphabet puzzles, books lined with organization, blocks, right? Water tables. You'll see manipulatives. You'll see magnet tiles. You might see a dramatic play center, right? But most importantly, the environment needs you, the leaders, the educators, the role models, the teachers, the family child care providers, the administrators, right? We lead by example. So the most ingredient in that environment is that high quality provider and educator. Next slide, please. So the basis of being a perfect early childhood educator is 1, honesty, 2, respect, and 3. So the basis that you want to start for your foundation in all care settings is honesty, respect, and trust. Next slide, please. So some of the requirements for an early childhood educator require your education, which is a minimum requirement of an associate degree. Certification. Some certifications they have is the teacher consortium. They offer infant toddler special permit. They have a preschool to 3rd grade specialization permit or school age emphasis permit. As well as your background check. So you got to be able to pass your background check, which is a live scan background check to ensure that nothing has happened in your past that will hinder you from working with children and families. And then continuous learning, that professional development piece, the workshops, the seminars, your staff meetings, right? That ongoing learning to keep your memories and interactions up to date and in compliance with new state laws and policies. Next slide, please. So one of the ways you can obtain certification, like I mentioned, was the CTC Early Educators Teachers Permit. The Early Education Teachers Permit requires you to have 24 units in ECE or CD, depending on what campus you're attending, a minimum of 16 units in general education, and also 175 days of experience, which is 3 hours per day within 4 years. So that part-time preschool instruction, if you're doing work study while you're in college, if you're working at a preschool and assisting in the family child care, those are your hours that work towards your experience when it counts up towards this 175 days of experience, right? And then you need valid 5 years of renewal professional growth. So like one of these classes right now, this webinar we're attending could count as your professional growth development activity or hours. Next slide, please. Three of the top LA community colleges that you can attend for obtaining those classes for your permit requirements is 1, East LA College, 2, Los Angeles City College, and 3, Santa Monica Colleges. All the 3 colleges are the top 3 ECE colleges right now in LA that are offering each courses that you need to obtain your teacher permit and elevate in your studies and career. Next slide, please. So for a resource later, if you guys would like, I recommend you Googling TED Talks by an early educator by the name of Erica Chris. I want to say Kritakis. I might be saying her last name wrong, so forgive me. But she discusses about how important the work of early childhood educators is in building the foundation for children's future learning and development. and the insights to remind us of early education matters and how skilled educators make a profound difference in children's lives. So I recommend, if you have a quick minute later, to go ahead and Google that TED Talk, maybe on the way home, or if you're driving to work one day and you just want to have a little bit of inspiration or encouragement in regards to your early education career perspective. I advise you to just to tap in. Probably it's like 5 minutes or 10 minutes. There's a longer one that's 20 minutes, but I promise you, within those 5 or 10 minutes of listening to this TED Talk, you're going to tap in and be like, wow, I really matter and I really need to continue being in this work. Next slide, please. Next, we're going to focus on our family child care educators. Next slide, please. Our family educators are child care providers, our caregivers, our parents, and our educators. These type of relationships are very important in regards to our earliest learners, which is the 0 to 3 population, and even up to 5 years old, because these babies are the ones that are coming into our presence and needing high quality care before they can even enter the school campuses and facilities. So our role as educators are very important and needed to be trusted for as a partnership with the parents, the community, and the child's best interest. Next slide, please. 1 million families and parents need child care for their children. I repeat again, 1 million families and parents need childcare for their children. Next slide. With that being said, the importance of you leveling up to join the educator field to be an educator is so more critical now than ever. 6 key traits for a family childcare educator. 1, patience. 2, empathize. 3, appreciate. 4, listen. 5, communicate. And 6, honesty. With these 6 key traits, would any one of you like to read one out loud on what that actually means? Any crowd participation? You could just unmute if you'd like to share to read out loud. No? Anyone? Okay, I'll read it. The most important one, I think one of our colleagues and friends shared today with us, I believe she was from East LA College. She mentioned patience. Patience is the cornerstone of our approach as family child care educators, as we understand the importance of allowing each child the time and space they need to learn, grow, and explore at their own pace. I think that is so critical and important as family child care educators. And the last one I want to say is listen. Listen attentively is a fundamental to our role as family child care educators. It allows us to understand the needs, concerns, and perspectives of both the children and their families, fostering effective communication and nurturing positive relationships. So with that being said, I want you to keep that in mind as you're being a family child care educator. Part of being high quality is having the characteristics of being patient and good listening skills. Next slide, please. So the requirements, if you're interested to become a family child care provider in Los Angeles, you could start off as a small family child care provider. And the requirements for that is you could serve up to 8 children in your own home and location. You will need to have a license with the Community Care Licensing Division, a criminal background clearance, 15 hours that's permanent preventative, health practices training, and including your CPR and first aid certifications. And your home must pass a fire and safety inspection, which is with the local fire department, and having your fire extinguishers mounted within your home. And it's a certain required size. I believe it's A10 to AB. So it's the standard size of fire extinguisher that's required to be mounted within your kitchen to pass your fire inspection check and your smoke alarms. So it's not big. It's just making sure that you have your fire extinguisher and gates in place for any emergencies. So don't panic when it says fire inspection or safety checks. Last, you want to make sure that the space that you have meets the requirements within your home. That's 35 feet of indoor space per child and 75 square feet per child outdoor. So your outdoor learning space will need to be 75 square feet per child. If you want to become a large family child care, it is similar. The only requirement is you have to start off large first and have your small license for at least a year. Once you have that license obtained for at least a year, you are eligible to go ahead and upgrade your license to become a large child care provider. And that means you're able to serve more children. So instead of serving 8 children, now you're able to serve 14 children. And you will need an assistant because you have more children in your capacity and care, right? So the difference in a small and large is one, you can serve more children, but now you need an assistant. And then two, you also need to actually ensure that your infants and toddlers do not exceed three infants if you are including school age, and no more than 4 infants if you decide to not have any school age children, right? Um, some common requirements for both is you need your TB clearance, so that's your tuberculosis shot. You need your immunization records to be up to date for all children in your care. So just like the schools, you have to keep your shot records up to date. You have to write an emergency disaster plan, and also you have to be compliant with the nutrition guidelines and meals. So maybe you're on the food program, so you have to make sure you're giving them the fruits and vegetables, right, and proteins, that milk daily, for their age group and size, and maintain their records, so including their emergency contacts. So in your actual files, you want to keep emergency contacts, just like as if you were a school administration office, with all their home address, their emergency contacts, family members, their shot records, if they're having any medication, all that needs to be in that children's file and stored away. And then lastly, you always have to keep in mind that you will have an annual license inspection. Those annual license inspections are unannounced. They do come annually. So when you do your license, yes, that's an appointment. After, it's random, right? So they could come anytime of the year, but just know it's a year after you've received your license that they will come out for that annual inspection. And there's no need to panic. All they're coming out to see is that when you came out to get your license in the first place or originally, that everything is still in place like they licensed you for, right? That your safety is still there. The children count is right. So it's not 9 kids and you're supposed to be serving 8 kids, right? They want to make sure if you're large, your assistant is there. So you have the capacity to serve those 14 children. And basically that you're having your safety locks in place. So everything you did to get your license is why they're coming annually to inspect your place. So it's no need to worry. Just keep doing the great work that you have done to even obtain your license. Next slide, please. So family childcare educators, nurturing hearts, shaping minds, and building futures, one child at a time. I'm gonna read that again. Family childcare educators, nurturing hearts, shaping minds, and building futures one child at a time. When you hear that quote in the chat, what comes to mind to you? Next slide, please. As we transition into our early childhood education ECE apprentice, please share what comes to mind in that quote in the chat box. So our top 3 LA ECE apprenticeship programs include our Child Care and Resource Center, which is CCRC. I love that. Jazz, Ms. Reyes said, every voice matters. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. Our SEU Early Educators Apprenticeship, which is our Child Care Providers United Early Childhood Educators Apprenticeship, and then LA City College ECE Apprenticeship. LA City College right now has a student advancement program where they're assisting our early childhood education students not only with their course materials, but actually working within the community at local child care centers, preschools, and even some school districts, early learning centers. So if you're interested, please keep those 3 apprentice programs in mind. You could Google them. They'll come right up, and really search for their apprenticeship programs to find out the requirements on how you may enroll. Next slide, please. So the top 3 requirements for all apprentices in ECE. One, you have to have your educational enrollment. So be enrolled in these colleges, East LA, Santa Monica, LA City College, your work experience commitment. So what that means is you're going to be required to complete a minimum, a number of supervised on the job training hours. Typically, maybe in a year, it might be 1,000. It might seem like a lot, but they total up fast, right? In an approved early childhood education setting, that could be going to maybe my sister's school at East LA College Early Ed Center, and they actually allow us to do these hours there for volunteering practicum. So we need to register and meet their requirements first. I'm sure you have to do some type of background clearance, make sure you have your TB test, and actually live scan background before you could do your apprenticeship work. But the background clearance is the most important for any apprenticeship once you go into enroll. So before you even go to enroll, be sure that you can pass your background clearance and that you are able to commit to be consistent, to stay on the job for those 1,000 hours to complete your apprenticeship. Next slide, please. Stages of early childhood education, ETC apprentices. So one, you're going to participate, right? Two, you're going to go to an orientation. Three, it's going to be integration. So what you find out at the orientation and for participating requirements, you're actually going to start doing it hands-on. That might be coming into the room and doing some story time with the kids. You might be outside supervising and actually playing games, ring around the rosies outside, after school homework club. Might be doing snacks preparation. It all depends on what the need of that child care site is and actually where they can use the most help. I believe then that will be able to level you up not only in that space for a permanent position, but actually training you to be equipped for that position. So lastly, the fourth thing is practice. So practicing actually what we're talking about, practicing how to do those transitions in story time, how to sing those songs of cleaning up when it's time to put things away, right? Teaching them to keep your hands to yourself. Maybe we're integrating how to share and take turns, right? With 3 or 4 years old. All that. I'm sorry. Did someone want to say something? Okay, maybe someone unmuted. Okay. All those things in practice will occur while you're an apprentice. First, you'll learn what's expected, what to do, how we integrate it, and now it's more so like mentorship. If I'm reading the book today, you might be reading it tomorrow after you see how I integrate with the kids. Or maybe you're just supervising throughout the day to ensure that they have that head count, right? So you're actually a participant within the circle. Maybe we're outside after school doing the parachute and ball toss. So instead of it's just me and the kids, now it's me and Desiree or me and Maria, and we're all three teachers are outside now playing with the kids, right? But later, after that apprenticeship moment, when you're being trained, no longer would Director Crystal be there. It's going to just be Maria and Desiree now with the children because now they're trained and they're equipped to actually do the actual work that's required in ECE on their own. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the pay in ECE apprenticeship. The pay in ECE apprenticeship include 15 to 18 hours for an assistant teacher, 18 to $22 an hour for an associate teacher, and then $20 to $25 for a teacher aide. These may vary depending on if it's a private school or a private center or a school district location, and if you have any certifications or different courses that maybe add up to specializations like special education, school aids. Maybe you have a practice in autism spectrum kids where you actually took a course. So now you're actually equipped and educated with that capacity of children. That will increase your pay as a teacher aide and an associate teacher. Next slide, please. The relationship spectrum. One of the biggest things when it comes to ECE and early childhood education, because these children are so little and are our youngest learners, is our relationship. Not only the relationship with the child, but the relationship with the parent and the community. An early education apprentice, we strive to cultivate meaningful relationships with children, families, and our colleagues to create a supportive learning environment where every child can thrive. We always want to focus on creating a healthy environment and a healthy learning example for all children, parents, and families. Sometimes we do experience some unhealthy situations on site or with staff or abusive things that we do have to take account for because we are mandated reporters. But our common ground and strive is to be healthy, productive, and supportive, right? Next slide, please. So some statistics about those relationships. 50% of healthy relationships are developed within an ECE apprenticeship, fostering growth and development for both educators and young learners, which is big. And we want to increase that number because it's so important, not only for the child, but for that parent in our community, right? The success of our society, not that prison pipeline, but that success pipeline. Our next scientist, right? Our next teacher, they might be us next. Who knows? 40% of that is an unhealthy number, which it reflects on how some apprenticeships, they hinder the growth of their employees. They don't allow them to actually expand to be the director or the site supervisor, keeping them as a 10-year teacher, like 20, 25 years, right? We want to intervene in that, see how we could find ways to promote our staff, increase their learning and their pay, right? And not only their learning and their pay, but their influence, right? If they're a teacher, how can we get them to be the lead or master teacher? What skills can we equip them with, or learning requirements? Maybe that's getting a bachelor's because they have an AA now, and next they can be a director and we can open up a whole nother site. So keeping those things in mind to always keep a thriving attitude and culture on our site is very important and key. And then lastly, we do want to discuss the abusive mechanism of some sites. It's 10%, which is great. It's a low number. We need it even lower. So we want to keep that in mind. That is devastating when you have a site that's maybe been known for abusive practices or non-compliant situations that has affected the trust of not only our parents, but the community and our children, right? Or the well-being of our educators, not them feeling safe to show up to work. Like one of our sites had a situation where their staff and children were affected. We don't want that to happen. So discussing them type of situations and finding ways to always be healthy or discuss different situations that we can fix is always on the spectrum for improving our relationships. Next slide, please. Lastly, let's talk about our administrators and directors of our center-based programs, which is our chiefs, right? Next slide, please. Our role models. Okay, this particular game, if someone wanted to help me to read the first one, we're going to match some key skills, right? I'll start with the first one, and then I'm going to popcorn it to someone. So please be ready. So the first one says, the ability to guide and inspire staff, set goals, and make strategic decisions to ensure the smooth operation and success of the center-based program, which is leadership. Next, I'm going to popcorn it to my Desiree to read the community engagement.
Wait, because why am I already unmuted? The commitment to advocating for the needs of children, families, and the staff within the community and with relevant stakeholders.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Desiree.
Of course.
Next one is advocacy. Can you popcorn it to another friend if you see a name by chance, please, Desiree?
I'll go ahead and pick Nicole Note Taker. Oh, that's a note. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'll pick Valeria Reyes.
Thank you. Valeria, can you read us for advocacy, please?
For advocacy,
It's the second one, basically, like it's lined up for the
advocating for
second
the
one.
needs of children, family, and staff within the community and with the relevant stakeholders.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that reading advocacy. Could you popcorn the next one for public development to another friend, please?
I'll do Daisy Gonzalez.
Daisy?
The initiative to build relationship with families, communities, organization, and the other professionals to foster collaboration and support for the center-based program.
Thank you. She read community engagement. Daisy, should you popcorn that off to our next friend, please?
Blanca Reyes.
Ms. Blanca, could you read the one that's lined up with policy development, which is our last bubble, please?
Yes, the responsibility to create and implement policies and procedures that promote a safe, inclusive, and enriching environment for children and staff.
Thank you so much. Yes, so important. And then our last one, Ms. Blanca, could you pass the last one to one of our friends so they could read program development, which is the bubble right above yours? If you see a name, I'm not sure. I can't see everybody, but if you see a friend,
Kayla Juarez.
okay. Ms. Kayla?
The task of designing and enhancement curriculum activities and services to meet the developmental needs of children and support their learning and growth.
Thank you so much. So this game of descriptions, I just had you read out loud. Next slide. Very key factors as administrators. We deal with community engagement, leadership, advocacy, policy development, program development. So as administrators and directors of programs, we wear so many different hats that are inclusive to ensuring the mixed delivery and structure of our programs to remain high quality and compliance with our funding, and then the services to meet all children and parents' needs. Next slide, please. Thank you all for sharing and participating. I really appreciate your help. The top 3 director careers in early childhood education include 1, a center director and administrator, 2, our program directors for Head Start, and 3, our early learning systems administrators. As you can see, the pay rates are as stated. For a center director administrator, we make about 55 to 75,000 per year, depending on the funding, on the requirements. So each site is different, right? This is just an estimate of what you could expect to make if you were in these roles. As a Head Start director, they might make up to 85,000 a year or more, depending on your requirements or expectations, right? Or that site's funding and need. Also, an early learning system administrator. It might be more depending on that fiscal year's needs and demands, and then your role as that administrator. Maybe you're serving more kids and parents, so that might increase your pay because your supervision is more than just the children and staff, right? Now you're doing the children, staff, and parents, and you're doing the actual trainings as well. So that also affects your pay. Next slide, please. So the education requirements for the top EC administrator roles. For center director and administrator, we need a bachelor's degree in early childhood education or a related field. Sometimes a master's degree is preferred. The higher, the better. I learned in California, it makes a statement when you have a PhD or a doctor in front of your name versus just an associate's, right? Why? I don't know, but it matters. So just keep that in mind as the kids are growing. As us leaders and educators and administrators, we should keep that in mind of wanting to keep growing as well in our degrees. So some of the child development programs director permits, they require you to have like hands-on experience for teaching, and that's 3 to 5 years of experience as a teacher before you become an actual director or administrator. So that's very important as well. For your director of Head Starts, the minimum is a bachelor's. Sometimes they'll let you be in that bachelor's degree while you're serving as the director of that program, depending on the requirements, but you will have to be in that bachelor's course within 6 months, of being hired. So while you're being hired, your commitment is not only to being that director of Head Start, but it's also committed to completing my bachelor's of requirement to keep that position, right? It's the same as early learning systems administrators. They want us to start with having our master's degrees in education or policy educational leadership or related fields, just like we discussed in regards to that matching game that we did together as a group. And they also want you to have 5 to 7 years of administrative experience. So that's you actually being a director before you're the full learning systems administrator, right? Or the assistant director. Maybe you're just the site supervisor, but now you're leveling up to actually be the lead site of that the administration, if that makes sense. So now you're actually the person that goes to fight for funding and policy over your site, which is the head or the chief CEO. Next page, please. So the top 3 LA schools for ECE administrators. 1 is Cal State LA. 2, we got UCLA. And then 3, Pacific Oats, or Old Historical Pacific Oats. Each school offers different requirements for their students to be accepted. You are able to Google these schools. I didn't have time to actually include their websites, but if you Google the actual school of choice that you're interested in, they have an ECE program, and the requirements are listed right under their website in regards to the next time for enrollment, which is the summer and then fall semester, and then what the program consists of, like the time of day of classes, the price for tuition, and opportunities for financial aid. Next slide, please. So true or false. Another small group activity really fast. So really fast. A credential director can reduce staff turnover and promote both private and public support of the center, which is true. Something to keep in mind as I'm reading these. All children in programs must comply with minimum operating standards required by the state, which is true. Most licensing laws require that all teachers and assistants have a first aid certificate. This is true. Lastly, an advisory committee has less authority than a board. True. The school board has the most power. Most states require that all preschool and head lead teachers have a teaching license. That's false. All teachers do not have a teaching license. Next slide, please. Just quickly before we almost conclude, with these list of words that reflect different childhood personalities or things that they look for in their actual leaders and directors and educators, I want us to take a moment and we could do it together, or you come off mute when I say healthy or the word. I mean, when I read the word, you let me know if it goes into the healthy box or unhealthy, right? So honesty, would that be healthy or unhealthy?
Healthy.
Healthy.
Thank you. Disrespectful, healthy or unhealthy? Unhealthy, right?
Unhealthy.
Correct. Communicative, so being willing to communicate, healthy or unhealthy?
Healthy.
Absolutely. Isolating, healthy or unhealthy?
Unhealthy.
Correct. Trust, healthy or unhealthy?
Healthy.
Healthy. Thank you. Yes, yes, ladies, yes. Compromise, healthy or unhealthy?
Healthy.
Healthy. Yes. Isolating, healthy or unhealthy? I'm not sure if I said that one already. Healthy or unhealthy?
Unhealthy.
The isolating one. Yes. Thank you, amiga. Control, healthy or unhealthy? Unhealthy, right? We don't want to be controlling, right? Mutual respect, healthy or unhealthy?
Healthy.
Healthy, absolutely. Respectful, healthy or unhealthy?
Healthy.
Healthy.
Healthy, yes. Appreciation, healthy or unhealthy?
Healthy.
Healthy. Dishonest, healthy or unhealthy?
Unhealthy.
Unhealthy, absolutely. Thank you so much, ladies, for participating in that game, to just think about different ways that we can stay in a positive, healthy relationship. Next slide, please. Thank you so much for participating. So with that in mind, let's talk about our top 3 director careers in early childhood education. So a child care center director, which oversees daily operations. They develop programs, manage staff, and they ensure our licensing compliance and maintains relationships with families in early learning settings. Our preschool program directors, they develop curriculum and supervise our teaching staff, manage budgets, and ensures educational standards are met in private or public school programs. Lastly, our Head Start directors, the administrators who are federally funded in early childhood programs, and they ensure our compliance with Head Start performance standards and coordinates our comprehensive services and engage with community partners. So that's like if you need homeless assistance, if your family needs clothes, or if they need some special regional services for reading or special needs. Maybe they're having a developmental delay. Our Head Start director will ensure that navigation of a referral and services are receive. Next slide, please. So the requirements and the salaries for our top ECE director positions, if you're interested. A child care center director education, they do require a bachelor's degree and early education, right? Or a related field. Maybe that's child development. Some don't call it early childhood education. They call it child development or early learning. And an associate's degree with extensive experience. So like say, for instance, you have an associate degree and now, but you have 20 years of experience working with children because maybe your mom's a provider or your grandma, right? So that all will factor in towards your education. The credentials, they do take the child development permit from the CTC consortium that I mentioned earlier in regards to the California Teaching Consortium, and business management coursework is recommended. So maybe you took that business 101 so you can learn how to create your business plan and projections, right, and your budgets on how that's formed into early childhood education when you're going into that director role. And the average salary for that is $47,000 to up to $60,000, depending on your hours, location, and then the center size. If it's a smaller center, it probably will be a less salary. If it's a bigger center, you probably will get more of a salary because of the capacity that you're supervising. A preschool teacher, a preschool program director, not teacher, I apologize. They're also required to have a bachelor's or a master's degree, which is in ECE, child development, or education. The credentials is in teaching again and can often be required in administrative work. That site supervisor, lead teacher, or master teacher, right? But you're doing some type of clerical work. So you have some type of clerical experience within being that program director. That average salary is 50 to 65,000. And then lastly, the Head Start director is also required to have a bachelor's or master's degree in EC or related field. That could be child development, maybe education. Sometimes it's even business. But then you will have to go back to get your ECE units, right, to specialize for Head Start. Those credentials do require some management experience as well for the federal program of knowledge, just to do your budgeting and actual funding grants and writing reports. And that average salary is 60,000 to 85,000 per year. Next slide, please. And that also depends on the program size and the funding received. Next slide, please. So paths and evolution after your career. So after you became a teacher or a family child care provider or apprentice or educator, we talk about retirement. Then it's transition. Maybe you're a mentor like me now, or you're growing into becoming a consultant or an advisor. So towards the end of your career, you may choose to retire or transition into consulting or advisory roles within the early childhood education sector. This phase involves passing on the knowledge and expertise to the next generation of leaders. Maybe that's your child or your niece or your neighbor or your student, right? Or your mentee that you're actually supported in your apprenticeship. Experienced educators have the opportunity to mentor new leaders and contribute to professional development of their staff. They may also pursue ongoing education and training to stay updated on best practices in early childhood education and administration, which we're doing today, right? Next slide, please. So after you become a director, don't give up. We still need you. We need you to lead the next generation. Even if that's not even leading, maybe just be a motivational speaker of encouragement, right? Iron sharpen iron. So once you finish being a director and you're retiring, there's still roles for you to play within the Department of Education, or even maybe your school campus where you retired from, to come back and actually speak at these conferences, speak on an alumni table or school board on the impact and needs of early childhood education. Next slide, please. So 3 types of mentors that we could think of being after you retire is: 1, a peer mentor, which is an experienced classroom teacher to provide day-to-day guidance on teaching practices or classroom management and curriculum implementation, right? Or professional development mentor, which specializes trainers who focus on building specific skills and knowledge in early childhood education. Like maybe that's reading skills, maybe that's math, right? Or that's just sharing. Some kids just have difficult behaviors with understanding the concept of taking turns and sharing. So maybe that professional development mentor is coming in on that one-on-one intervention every day on your site and actually playing games where they're actually practicing to take turns, right? Or career navigating mentor. Now you're actually coming in to help that lead teacher navigate to figure out, hey, can I take another class to become the preschool director now, or the actual site supervisor? Or maybe I don't want to do this no more. Maybe I just want to go and be a peer mentor to other students now that want to become a lead teacher in preschool, right? So that advises the education and credential requirements. Like you'll be telling them what classes to take. Like I'm teaching you today. You might be the next person teaching this class, right? That's the point of when we retire, not giving up, but actually still leveling up in the field, in the work, to encourage all educators to grow and thrive. Next slide, please. So the pay and education for the top mentors in ECE. For peer mentors, you're making about 45 to 55,000. That is required a bachelor's degree in some fields, and other places they want to see your experience, right? Maybe they don't want a bachelor's, they'll accept an associate's degree, but they do want to see your hands-on experience and your impact with the actual program. Maybe that's the student achievement program at the community colleges, or the child care provider mentors you was working in before actually applying to be a peer mentor, right? Professional development mentors. The education requirement is a little higher because you're actually leveling them up in their career, right? You're actually taking them from one career to the next level in their career. This requires child development, possibly majors, education majors, maybe liberal arts. Some might even major in special needs, diversity, some family planning or family life skills. So it depends on your actual specialty, but it all requirements are for professional development and growth, depending on what skills you want to actually lead in professional development. That salary could come from 60 to 75,000, and that's annually. Lastly, is the career navigator position that we was talking about, which is a mentor as well, but in your career, they also require you to have a master's degree in ECE administration, leadership, or related field. Maybe that's public policy development, program development, and then within that sector, they also want you to have 5 years of management experience. So not only are you able to be that leader or do the ECE administration, you also have 5 years of experience in management. So maybe that was as the site supervisor, 5 years at my neighborhood Head Start, right? Or lead teacher. So they want to see what was it that you were managing to be in this capacity now to help the next leader. And that salary could range from 70 to 90,000 per year, depending on the organization size and then their funding, because a lot of these positions are funding based. Next slide, please. Oh, next slide, please. You need that. So thank you all. I am Crystal once again. I do appreciate you guys stopping in and joining me for a real fast crash course in regards to early care and education careers. At this time, if you have any questions, you may raise your hand and ask me. If you guys took a picture later, if you want to reach out to me and ask any clarity questions, what school, what units, what classes I took, how did I get to become a site supervisor or director, I'm all open. I'm all for empowering and encouraging the next educator or answering questions as needed. So thanks again. And as you can see in the picture, those are my 2 youth leaders and daughters that assist in the work since they was little and now are our next generation of educators and advocates in the field. And their names is Imani and Zoe. And once again, I thank you all for attending this workshop today and listening to the content. Thank you so much. Yes, Miss Christy, I see your hand.
Oh, hi, Crystal. I missed
Hi.
ability to take a picture of like your contact information and everything. Do you mind? I could take
I'll
it.
put in the chat for you. Yes, no worries. You got it.
Thank you.
Yes, you're more than welcome. My pleasure. Any other questions? I know I kind of moved kind of fast, briefly. There's any questions you guys have, concerns? I'm on open. I'm on yours. No, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you being here and even sharing today. Thank you for participating too. I know you didn't see it, and all of a sudden you all just was willingly and unmuting and joining in. So I really appreciate all of you as well.
Oh, will this PowerPoint presentation be shared with us too? Just so we could
Yes.
look again. Yeah.
You know what? And I'm more than willing to share it out. I know it will be like a database where you guys could find our content later as well. But if you email me later, Miss Christy, I'm more than willing to share it with you. I don't mind. Sharing is caring is my motto. So if you reach out to me, I don't mind sharing the slides with you as well. If there's some content that you like to keep for your own notes, you're more than willing to keep it.
Oh, okay. Thanks so much. Thanks.
Oh, you're so welcome. No problem. Thank you for coming out today.